We bowl off this edition of the SportsMax Zone with some cricket talk. The West Indies one-day international captain Shai Hope is gearing up for a return to first-class cricket after being named in a strong Barbados Pride squad for their fifth-round West Indies four-day championship match against the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, which bowls off on Wednesday at Kensington Oval in Barbados. Hope, who has 9 centuries at the first-class level, last represented Barbados Pride in the Red Bowl format in 2022. That's 3 years ago, when he played just one round. Now, with the Aussies set to tour the Caribbean in June and many test-level experienced players making comebacks to regional first-class cricket, the question is, does Shai Hope's first-class return set him up to potentially don the maroon cap at the test level again? Well, here to help us get close to a possible answer is our captain, Fazir Mohammed. Faz, welcome to the SportsMax Zone for the second day in a row. Your take on this Shai Hope return to red ball cricket and the thoughts of him setting himself up for a test return?
I think more than anything else, Lance, what it shows is that whatever the merits of his presenting himself, whether he succeeds or not, it is still good to see that players want to play test match cricket, because I think that is the fundamental concern. Whether or not test cricket in the West Indies or played by the West Indies will survive the next 5 or 10 years or so. So when you have someone like Shai Hope, who's really transformed his game to not just be a very successful 50-over player, he's always been that from the time he played his first one-day international, to now basically be a star performer as well in the T20s and to be in demand and still want to come back to play for the Barbados Pride with the hope of playing test match cricket for the West Indies, and maybe one or two others harboring those aspirations following whatever discussions they would have had with the new head coach in Darren Sammy. I think it's a very good thing for the welfare of test match cricket, at least with the sense that players do want to play the red ball game for the West Indies.
Yeah, the fact is, though, Faz, is that Shai Hope has transformed his game. He is now a dashing white ball player and very, very impressive T20 international star. He's just coming off the ILT20 in Dubai, where he had some good scores for his team there. But we remember, you know, his back-to-back hundreds at Leeds against England in 2017, 147 and then 118, not out, real class. But he didn't sustain that kind of quality in his test performances. So your thoughts on how, first of all, the general cricket public in the Caribbean would embrace a Shai Hope for test cricket?
It depends on his performances. And also, not just, and let me put an immediate caveat on that, performances based on whatever circumstances. For example, for this match against arch rivals Trinidad and Tobago, which goes back more than a century, as Philip Spooner has been highlighting, the former media man for Cricket West Indies, in his contributions on social media about the historic nature of this fixture. It's supposed to be a green pitch at Kensington Oval. And that has been one of the concerns about Shai Hope. Yes, he has all the attributes in the white ball game, but in the red ball game, where it could be pace like fire with no restrictions about bouncers and no restrictions about 30-yard circle and all of that, and genuine pace, where it's felt that he is vulnerable. Let's see how he shapes up. If it comes to that, Jaden Seals against a Shai Hope is an appetizing prospect if it were to turn out that way. And you're right, Lance, you look at his overall numbers and you'll describe him as a flop in test match cricket, because you mentioned those twin hundreds. He was one of the Wisden 5 cricketers of the year after that. Because of those performances, everyone saw him as the next great West Indies test batsman, and he finished up to a few years ago when he played his last test match with an average in the low 20s. So again, he has a lot to prove. There's no guarantee. Even if he gets runs on flat pitches against jokey bowling, the question will still be, can he cope with Australia and the variety of their attack, even if he gets runs on his comeback to the Barbados Pride?
But Faz, I tell you what, I'm impressed with one thing in particular, and the fact that he actually has the itch to come back. And yeah, we speak about pride of place, but I think the really good players would want to conquer anything and everything in front of them. The fact that he averaged 25 with the bat, his highest score 147 with a couple of centuries, I think it was in Headingley. The fact that he wants to come back and, try and regain confidence in the test format says something about him, because probably he's even a little bit baffled as to why he hasn't conquered test cricket.
And it says something about him, but also, encouragingly, it says something about him and others recognizing that whatever they achieve in the white ball formats, and tremendous performances, outstanding performances, fame and fortune and riches beyond whatever they would have dreamed of coming into the game, even to this day, players are measured by test match cricket. And clearly for many of those players, that would still hold some resonance. For some, it doesn't anymore, although for quite a few of them, the white ball T20 stars that we described for many, many years, they aspire to play test match cricket. Of course, Dwayne Bravo's career was very solidly based on test match cricket before it all changed when Darren Sammy became captain. And they couldn't have two all-rounders in the team. But in relation to what you're talking about there, Don, I agree with you that the fact that they want to play, they want to be seen as part of a West Indies test match team and performing, tells me that they still appreciate that test match cricket is the gold standard of an international cricketer.
Faz, I'm going to jog your memory for a little bit, and forgive me if I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm trying to bring our viewers some context as to Shai Hope and his struggles, as to, in your opinion, why he struggled so much in the test arena while doing so well in the limited overs version of the game.
I would say that, and if you forget that purple patch, because he got a 90 against Pakistan in Barbados in 2017, then came those twin hundreds, then came a half century at Lords, then came a 90 not out in Bulawayo against Zimbabwe. But that apart, there's very little else to talk about, and yet still, you look at him. I remember sitting alongside Jeff Dujon in commentary, and he was convinced that Shai Hope had what it takes to be an outstanding test match batsman. We saw that for a very brief period. I would suggest that it's a combination of things. It's about temperament, it's about the different pressures of test match cricket, which is why I continue to make the point, even though I've never been anywhere close to playing at that level of the game, and that's why my comments will always be viewed in that context. But again, playing test match cricket with the different pressures, the fact that a bowler can come back for a second spell and a third spell, and it's the use of the old ball, the ability to get reverse swing, and so many other different elements, plus the pressure of close-in fielders, and it's a very different type of environment. He struggled in that, and therefore he found it difficult to really get on top of the bowling in those conditions, and that's why even when he was looking good, he would invariably get out in the 20s, edging to the keeper, bowled or trapped LBW. So I would say there are a number of factors there. And again, he has to erase the bogey as to whether or not he's capable of handling genuine quick bowling in test match cricket conditions.
Yeah, on the plus side for Shai Hope, though, Faz, we could consider that he's matured as an individual and as a professional cricketer, to the extent that he carries himself well as the West Indies ODI captain, with success and performances to go with it. So do you think from that standpoint, from a maturity standpoint, and maybe even self-belief, that he is better equipped now to resuscitate his test career than 4 years ago?
I've always felt Shai Hope to have self-belief. If anything, I felt it almost bordered on arrogance, even when he came into the setup, which isn't a bad thing, because you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to back yourself. But I think what would happen now, and at least I would hope so, is that there would be that recognition, and pardon the pun about hoping so, but the situation is that you would like him to appreciate that test match cricket is a different situation. It's not about the highlight reel of the flashy boundaries and the beautiful strokes of the hip as we're looking at now in the replay. It's about those periods in between when you're battling against a world-class bowler and can barely get it off the square, the ability to get the single, the ability to ensure that you're keeping the bowler under pressure by looking for singles, by playing into the bowler's mind, by telling him that you're in control, not even when you're not scoring quickly. So I would think that in the intervening period, since he last played Test cricket at the end of 2021, when he went into to Sri Lanka, it would be enough time for him to appreciate those intangibles beyond just the simple issues of shot making and shot selection. There are many different areas that come towards the makeup of a Test match batsman consistently successful in that very demanding format of the game.
And that's probably the biggest thing here as we move slightly away from staring at Shai Hope, is the fact that the game is going to get more eyes, right? It's always good when the star players come back home and play in regional competitions. Of course, a couple of years ago, I think it was lifted, the mandatory status of players needing to play in the 4-day format in order to make it into the Test team. So the very fact that it's now voluntary and the status of the regional game will rise, that's a very good thing.
Absolutely, Don, because the thing is that, as I recall, and I mean, I'm going back way before your time, way before.
Yeah.
I mean, going to the Queen's Park Oval, Trinidad and Tobago versus Barbados, 15,000 people in the stands. And you got that sense of anticipation because it was a Bernard Julian bowling to a Gordon Greenidge, Joel Garner making his first appearance, the giant big bird and the roar of the crowd when he came down the pavilion steps and almost butted his head against the ledge just above him because he was so tall. And these are the things you remember. Now, of course, at Kensington Oval, it will be fantastic if you get even 2,000 or 3,000, given what we see now as the smattering of spectators for these matches. But you're right. If you've got the context of someone looking to get back in a Test side and others on the other team looking not just to cut him down, but to get points in pursuit of a first-class title that they haven't won since 2006, there's a lot at stake, and as you said, a lot more eyeballs, a lot will be following on social media, and that is all good for the regional game.
Yeah, and talking about and building on Donald's point about, big name players returning to the 4-day game, Brandon King for Jamaica Scorpions and Ruston Chase for Barbados now among those players. But as I touched on Shai being probably more mature now to handle the job as a Test cricketer, given the fact that in many ways his career has advanced as an international cricketer since he last played Test cricket, can I then flip the coin to suggest that because he has become so more adept at playing the white ball game, that he may have difficulty adjusting to the demands of the Test game?
That's quite possible, and that's why it will be interesting to see how he shapes up in this match against Trinidad and Tobago, because it's not just about, as I said, scoring runs, but it's about temperament, it's about occupation of the crease and so on. So yes, if you've got into a zone where you've really excelled in the white ball format, you've done so well that it's become your comfort zone, and now you're demanding of yourself to return to an environment where you weren't particularly comfortable. You don't have particularly happy memories except for that purple patch in 2017. And no doubt, given the way the duel is between Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados, he'll be reminded of that by those around him, those standing behind him, those in slips and wherever at forward short leg, because that is all part of the game. And therefore, it's up to him to show that he can make that adjustment. We've seen that being done by many top international players all over the world. So it's not some unprecedented requirement, but it's really up to Shai Hope or anyone else who's excelled in the white ball formats, who aspires to play Test cricket, to show that they don't just have the shots, but they have the temperament and the other intangibles to play Test match cricket.
Yeah, and Faz, directly concerning the game now, because you just went back into your memories there about the epic battles between TNT and Barbados in the past. Of course, at that time, it wasn't the Red Force against the Pride. But This is expected to be a top game. It's number 2 against number 3 at the moment in the standings. And as we just spoke of, the Kensington Oval curators have prepared a green top, so we expect some fiery stuff there. Who do you think will win this match? Because I think they are pretty evenly poised, these two teams, based on the form and what we've seen since the start of the season.
At this point, I'll give the edge to Barbados, as much as that may land me in trouble being right here from Trinidad and Tobago. But again, it's home advantage, it's home conditions, it's about ability to cope with the situation. The Trinidad and Tobago Red Force had a real battle on their hands against the West Indies Academy, but came out very well in the end to win comfortably, so they showed resilience there. But they've had these experiences before. I recall just before COVID, they went to Kensington Oval on a real green top, and players were injured. Even the keeper was injured. The Trinidad and Tobago had to use 3 keepers in that match because of injury. So it could be a real fiery duel if it comes to that. And therefore, it's going to test the caliber of the cricketers, the caliber of the batters especially. And I am looking forward to what I hope will be a quality contest. But at this point, I would want to give the edge to the home side.
Okay, all right, fans, we're going to leave it there. It's the top game of the round for sure, the 5th round of the CWI Regional 4-Day Championship, and we'll be keeping a close eye on it, and we'll probably check in with you again before the week is out. Thanks, Faz.
Take it.
Yeah, and we'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after the break.